Hundreds of emails, but let me read one. We are over-dependent on foreign oil and energy sources. This is from James, but Lee also wrote something similar. What do you propose to support in Congress or even advocate for to make us not be at the mercy of outside energy influences? And who do we start with, Megan?
Lynn Jenkins.
Lynn Jenkins.
All righty. Well, he's right. We need to stop being reliant on foreign sources of oil. And so my solution has been one that is an all-of-the-above solution. We need to drill now. We have resources offshore. We have them in the Gulf, in Anwar. That needs to be the first step. But that's not enough. In addition to that, we need to look at alternative renewable resources. And here in Kansas, we have many: wind, solar, nuclear, clean coal. And then we also need to give automobile manufacturers incentives to produce fuel-efficient vehicles, and conservation is a part of it. But again, the big difference between myself and Nancy Boyda is she tells us that that's what she's for when she's back here in the state of Kansas. Does a newspaper insert, does TV advertisement, and then she went back after a 5-week vacation and voted against her own bill to do this, a bill that she co-sponsored. Just another example of saying one thing here, thinking we're not bright enough to see that she's not voting that way in Congress. She instead supported not the bipartisan bill that she was sponsoring, but one that was drafted, you know, in the dark of night in a private office by Nancy Pelosi, allowed drilling 50 miles offshore where there is no oil.
Nancy Boyda?
Actually, I was very proud to work with a bipartisan group in the Cannon office building, and we worked at night. It wasn't in the dark of night, but a group of us got together and said, what can we do to help forge a compromise? Clearly, that was part of a process, Lynn, and I was very honored to be part of that group and to start moving that discussion forward. Again, I think we agree that we need more domestic drilling, and I have voted for that. We need to have more renewable fuels that will help Kansas just absolutely bloom and help our economy right here. And clearly the low-hanging fruit is conservation, what you and I can do to make sure that we're using our resources so carefully. Everybody goes, well, if you would agree, then why can't we get that done? And the rub in Congress, we voted 5 times on comprehensive energy bills. And they would pass the House, but then never get picked up in the Senate because there wasn't a large enough majority. Even right here in Kansas, it went straight down party lines because we said if we're going to make all these investments into renewables and into all these great things that are going to be good for Kansas, we need to pay for it, Lynn. We can't just keep on spending this money and sending the bill to our children. And so we paid for it every time by cutting, not just reducing, not eliminating, but by cutting the subsidies to the big oil companies who made $123 billion last year. And we took some of that and we said that's how we're going to pay. And in fact, each time, the Republicans stayed right with the president and said we're not going to do that. Lynn, you said that you don't believe that we should cut a dime of subsidies to the oil companies. Again, that's where we disagree.
We have to let Lynn Jenkins. Short follow-up, but Robert emailed in, and to add to your follow-up, you may have mentioned, but I missed it. Will you also support additional nuclear plants in your follow-ups? Maybe you can address that.
Yes, that was easy, but back to the follow-up.
And yes.
Okay, we answered that.
Was
Robert's
easy.
got that one.
You know, it's just amazing the time that Nancy decides to be fiscally responsible. You know, didn't vote for a budget that balanced, and when you do that, all sorts of nasty things happen. One of many is it raids the Social Security fund where we've got a system that's already in dire straits. I don't know what she is suggesting by raising taxes on oil companies. Do you not think that they're going to just pass that on to the consumer? That's what they do. They're in this to make a buck. So, you know, what I really just don't understand is why you would say you'd support those things and then you'd vote against it. At the end of the day, that's what's most concerning to me.
30 seconds.
Let me just say again that I think balancing the budget is very, very important. And I think you may be one of the very few people in the 2nd District who think that that subsidizing them to the tune of tens of billions of dollars when they made $123 billion last year. And we saw gas go to $4.10 a gallon. Lynn, it's just disingenuous. They're paying virtually no royalties on federal lands. These are your tax dollars and you're paying more tax so that the oil companies can get off scot-free.
All right,
It's a
that's
huge
30.
difference between the two of us.
Okay.